So let's get into it. Paradise Season 2. Recap. My opinions, my review. Season 1 was a gigantic hit. The storylines were great. I always knew they were has always been a sci-fi thriller to me. Season 2 was also an incredible season. It dug more into the time traveling, with Sinatra's character. We finally figured out that Alex, the AI, is the time device that she's been using to manipulate. And see, this is where I think a lot of people that review this is going wrong. They're going off of, Quantum Leap and Marvel's multiverse theories of time with Alex. And it's a good way, a good blueprint on to think about where they're going. But what I think, so let's back up a little bit. We know Sinatra built this underground city because she figured out in season 1 that it was these storms that were going to destroy the earth because of things we've done to the earth years past, and that this apocalypse thing was going to happen and the countries were going to nuke each other to get rid of some of the bad things that was going to happen from these events. So they built these cities. She had someone build these cities, but not only did she have built these cities, she's abandoned about half of all of 70% of the planet, leaving those people to fend for themselves. And as humans, we're survivors, so you figured it would be survivors. But she built these bunkers, but she had this scientist create these bunkers, but then she had this gentleman who teaches time travel and teaches scientific travel and things of that nature create this Alex time travel device. Now, what I believe Alex is definitely artificial intelligence, but I think it's a way of communicating with the time itself to change the trajectory of how people are born. And I believe you can't think of it as Alex was playing God. No, what I think happened was with Alex, this artificial technology created these different images and cloning of people that were either dead or that she resurrected and created new versions of those characters, like she did with her son, like what she did with Dylan. Dylan did die in the real world, but I believe with the capabilities of Alex, she was able to create a version of Alex that survived and lived his life. And I believe she was using the technology to try to go back and change direction and try to change everything that's happening. But what it did was, with anything that comes with time and existence and consciousness, things always split, but times always, those branches always branch back up in different universes, but always meet back up at some point, and that causes destruction. That causes what we call a insurgent or effect. But season 2 was done perfectly. To me, they could have ended at that point, but I believe with the events of season 2 already happened, and I believe it was just a flashback. And I believe season 3 will be up to date. We'll be in some time in the future after, because I believe season 1 and 2 already happened, and we were just getting the play-by-play, from Alex, from the system. The storyline, Don Fingleton, if I got his name right, I might be turning his name up. He's real good with the storyline. With This Is Us, he went back and forth in the past, and the way he tell his stories is incredible. So he did the same here with Paradise, where he was telling the story but wasn't telling the story, but giving you glimpses of the past, the present, and the future. So with Dylan, I believe, is coming back to avenge the point of his mentor, who he helped create Alex. And because Dylan doesn't know that he's Sinatra's son, because remember I told you, so Alex is creating different versions of these characters, not resurrecting them, creating different versions of these characters. And I believe she's done it with Alex more than a few times for each character, I believe. So let's recap it a little bit. So Sinatra finally figures out, it worked. Her son came back. She's happy, but she Jane character, who was supposed to be killed because Alex, the program in itself, was warned to pass about her character, in which we will see more of in a flashback of that character. And why? Because I believe they wiped out, Jane out of the system. So, Sinatra finally got to be with her son again, but I believe in season 3 we're going to get a vision of the future and what Alex already created with Xavier, future Xavier, and he already went back and changed the events leading up before the bunker. So I believe we'll get that in season 3. I believe we're going to get that situation between the therapist and his wife. I believe the therapist could be pregnant, and I believe Xavier at some point will have to tell his wife. I don't think we're done with the Sinatra character. I believe is another version of that character. I believe the president, and I believe with the changing of the way Alex works, the machine, I believe is different versions. We'll see it in the flashback, and then we'll see them in the future. I believe all the timelines will come back together in season 3. But that's my recap. I believe the Sinatra story is not over. Xavier has already found a way to fix what happened. He will face the therapist and his wife. I do believe Jane will see Jane in a flashback. We'll see what happened to her. Will see people living on Earth. I believe they're going to go through some flashbacks of more catastrophic events that happened after everybody flee from the bunker. But I believe season 3 will speed up about maybe 4 or 5 years, but not in the beginning. I believe the first 2 episodes will focus on what happened months after, and then tell us what happened with the therapist and the wife, and we'll see the baby grow. We'll see Dylan and the baby grow up. We'll see what happens with the president's son. We'll see what happens with Alex, the machine, and the people in the second bunker, because I believe there's more people in the bunker, a team of people there. That's my recap on Paradise Season 2. Thank you.